Hi, this is Jacqueline here from The Empowered Parent. Thank you for watching. I'm a parent of 4 young men here in the United Kingdom, 2 of whom are differently abled with special needs, and 2 older ones, by the grace of God, with no special needs, all doing very well by the grace of God. I'd like to talk to those parents who are considering coming to the United Kingdom with children or young people with special needs, and those who may already be here that are particularly, maybe they don't have recourse to public funds, for instance, and they are wondering and afraid of what they have access to or what they're entitled to in terms of care support, maybe. By the time I managed to get my care support as somebody who has full residential permission in the United Kingdom, practically British citizen, if you like, I did not necessarily get asked to give details of my status, my residential status. This is back to the year 2007, 8, and then after that. It is going to be important for you to check what you are entitled to in the United Kingdom before you come here, or even as you are here. The majority of people with special needs, people in their family, are entitled to a carer's assessment. However, with the way things are changing with the government, you will need to check if they are going to ask you if you need recourse to public funds. It should not stop you trying to access carer's assessment to see if you can get support from your council, from the children's disability team in your council. That is when they come out and give an assessment of your overall needs. I've got a video on carer's assessment, so I won't go full into it. You can watch that one. I'll pinpoint you to it, to see what kind of support you will need in terms of getting your child out or taking a break and so forth. The second thing I'd like to talk about is schools. Most children that are in the United Kingdom, whether they have recourse to public funds or not, are entitled to attend a school. The challenge arises where there is a special needs school needed and the special needs school provisions are very few. And because of the rising numbers of children needing schools, and further colleges is rising as well, it may be a challenge. I'm just putting it out there, not just for yourself as an immigrant, but even for the British nationals. The schools are significantly not quite enough to carry, unless you go private and pay privately for a private school, then that's an option you can take as well. But the public schools are far and few between, and it may be that your child ends up staying in a mainstream school if their needs can be met and if the funding can be got. Funding will need to be got to meet a one-to-one if your child needs it in a public school. If your child doesn't need it, all good and well, they can probably function in a public school, and that's fine. But for those that need one-to-one support from the route from nursery up to school, very often one-to-one is needed. I'm a nursery nurse, a nursery teacher, working in settings and in schools, and sometimes I also go into reception classes in schools. Generally and very often there is no one-to-one support for these children. There can be one-to-one support. It is limited. In schools especially, it's more likely that one-to-one support will be got for your child, because a teacher cannot carry up to 30 children and then mind a child that has a special needs that is totally different in need, and what they need is different. But in nursery settings, because of the shortage of skills, it is more challenging for them to get that one-to-one support in a nursery setting. So we nursery nurses in a setting find ourselves really quite challenged and pushed to deal with a child that has special needs, and then to deal with the others that have no special needs as well, because there is a ratio that we have to adhere to in nursery classes. So keeping that in mind, and as the children get older, especially the ages of about when they leave primary school, by the time they leave primary school, they are going into secondary school, 12, 13, I believe it is, if I remember correctly. You can get childminders for your children that have special needs for if you're working for after school. That is available. It might be a bit difficult for a child that has special needs because many of the childminders may not have the skill set, may not have the experience to deal with children with special needs. I'm not saying nobody has a skill set for it. There are very skilled childminders out there that can look after your child after school. But don't forget, it will depend on the distance from the school to the childminder, and how far they will go to pick your child, and how your child is. And if they are able to take that child alone, then they may have to recruit somebody else to work with them in their home because they have other children they are looking after. Just putting it out there, it is a little bit harder to get a childminder for a child that has special needs, especially where the special needs comes with extreme challenging behavior. It's one thing to have a child that has special needs that's a lot calmer. It's another one to have a child that has special needs that's a bit more physically challenging, perhaps. Having said that, it is possible to have that communication and put yourself out there with childminders. There are very wonderful childminders out there you can get. It becomes harder when the child is about the age of 12 to get childminders and care after school. That is when the cutoff age begins to happen for childminders because they can only look after certain age and have certain ratios in their home to look after children. So when your child goes to secondary school, things begin to change a little bit, and this is where you need to decide to think, if I'm going to work, where will I keep my child that has special needs if I come to the United Kingdom? Where will that child be? Will they be with family members? Will they be a neighbor? Will they be? You need to be careful. You need to think about it, because childcare is quite an issue in the United Kingdom for parents. It's an issue. It can be costly. It can be challenging to find the right people, and you need to do your due diligence and you need to do your homework around that. So that's the other thing I want to put out there. And children and young people with special needs can be costly to look after. In the United Kingdom, most activities that you have to access for them, you need to pay for them. Money may not be an issue for many of immigrants who come, but there are those who money may be an issue for as well. So we need to take into account that those children that you're bringing need access to activities, because here a lot of things can be indoors. Especially now in winter, the activities are far and few between. Those that activities are there, you need to pay quite significant amounts for. For instance, my child attends, I've been attending a club here, and very often vouchers will be sent from the school so that they don't have to pay for those specific activities. I can choose specific activities across a week of a holiday, and they attend them. I just get them there and get them out again. Somebody coming into the country may well qualify for that, because this comes from the school, and the school then identifies parents or families that need, maybe they're on a certain or low income, that need activities for their children. They will then send out those vouchers, and you choose the activities in your locality. That way your child accesses something, and it's very good for them. They develop a lot of skills, they mix with other children, and it's something that develops them personally. So that's important. It's important to know and realize that your children will need activities. It won't just be indoors all the time, but it is crucial to remember that that is how they will develop, and when they get out into the community, when they go out for activities. As a parent, you need to be very up on your game. You need to be very proactive, is the word, to find activities for your children and to get them out there. That's very crucial. That's very important. So that's the other thing. The other thing is finances. Again, when they say no recourse to public funds, they are meaning you cannot claim United Kingdom benefits. The finances for the childcare allowances that may help your child. There are some charitable organizations and charitable organizations and that give grants. You need to Google it up, and you can then contact them directly to find out what the requirements are. Many of them may not ask you if you're an immigrant that has no recourse to public funds, so you can access those as well. So those are some of the few things to think about. There's a lot of things to think about when you come to the United Kingdom with a special needs person. If your child is already been diagnosed and you know it, that is, or you have some kind of suspicion and you're now coming to the United Kingdom, those are the first few things to think about. They are not limited to. There's a lot more to think about, but those are the first few things to think about. You need to realize, and by God's grace you will not be totally isolated, but you need to realize that there's levels of isolation in the United Kingdom for children, especially parents and children with special needs. So you will need a very high level of resilience in that area. And I'm not going to say to people, put yourself out very hard and try to make friends here and there and everything. You can only do what you can do, and you will find your feet eventually. Finding a good church and so forth, and taking part in activities and so forth, you will find your feet. If anybody is struggling as an immigrant with children with special needs here in the United Kingdom, please leave a message for me. Send me a message, leave a comment. If you need some kind of information or anything like that, I can gladly help as much as I can. And for those of you who watch my videos, you come and you watch, you won't subscribe. Please motivate me, help me, and support me by subscribing. And I will then really also feel a lot more motivated to actually bring myself out. I'll bring myself out anyway as much as I can. By God's grace, I cannot do it alone. I do need your help. Until next time, I hope this video has been helpful.